The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. It's Nikki Glaser. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast from St. Louis. Andrew Cullen is going to join us shortly. He is waiting to have a window repaired out of Brenna's car. It got knocked out. Apparently, they were at a bar somewhere or something, and someone like just knocked out a bunch of windows in like 4 minutes, knocked out like 20-something windows.
Yeah.
For no reason other than just
to make Andrew late for the podcast.
Yeah, it was me. I wanted my little alone time back. I gave it up about a year ago. No, that's just so, it just sucks that people, sometimes you see something and you go, that's because someone was molested once. Like I look at like property damage and I go, that's someone who either like someone beat them as a child, someone neglected them. That's a school system failing someone. I just like look at, there's this sign outside of a shop nearby when I walk the dog. It's Insomnia Cookies, and it's like this cute sign that's always like out front, on the street. I don't even know what those are called. Like they have to like put it out in the morning. And there's just a big fucking hole in it now because one night someone just kicked it. And it's just like, I know it was someone who was drunk, but like you don't do that when you're drunk unless you have so much fucking rage inside you from some childhood trauma. And that is why BetterHelp is a great resource to talk to a therapist tonight. It's just, I look at things like that and I just go, it's because of unresolved anger issues. It makes me so sad. And then it's just such an inconvenience. And then now, and today Andrew's like, hey, can we start the podcast? It's late. And we have to tape 2 today. So it was like I was like, we'll just start on time, but just join us late. It's not a big deal. And I wanted to assuage his fears because I could just see him like getting like probably bubbling up because he's like, the window guy is late. And then he's going to be like, I saw him like gnawing on his fingers and Nikki's going to be mad at me. And then he's going to take that rage out somewhere. Like it's all just like, it trickles down.
He's coming up right now, by the way. So he's not even that late.
Okay. I should stop worrying about it then.
What do you have going on today? Because you said that you were super busy.
Yeah, I have to pack for a pretty long trip. I'm going to be gone until, I shouldn't say because my mom will be like, Nick, people know when you're gone. They'll rob you dry. Well, I'm having someone stay here anyway, so don't even try to come by. But I'm going to be gone for a while. I'm going to do Jimmy Kimmel Live. That is Thursday. The wild thing about Jimmy Kimmel Live is I'm taping something tomorrow for like a pre-tape that I'm going to throw to during the monologue. But other than that, no idea what I'm doing on the show. I know who I'm interviewing. It's Danny DeVito and Jamil. Wait, fuck.
It is.
It's Jamil, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what's her Jamila? I always fuck up her name. It's so embarrassing. Yeah, Jamil. Sometimes I go there. It can't be Jamil twice. And which one do you throw in the last one or the first one? And it's embarrassing. But
it reminds me of Jaleel White.
I'm name lexic. Yeah, it does remind. Did I do that? Did I screw up her name? Someone that I've done a podcast with for hours. But you know what? I don't know how people remember everything, and I realize that podcasts are the true indicator of how much you remember because there's no editing. I mean, there is slight editing in podcasting, but like oftentimes, if I don't remember someone's name, it's just going to be out there, and they're just going to know. And it's not. She's a famous person. Of course I know. She's my guest on Thursday, so look forward to that. And Danny DeVito is going to be fun. I've been listening to podcasts of his interviews just to figure out maybe some fun things to bring up. But other than that, like no idea what the monologue's going to be. And this is taping in 2 days. Most people would be a little bit alarmed right now. I don't know why I don't care. Because you know what? If I ever do a late night talk show, I know that late night shows do not start preparing 2 days before. Like, yes, people internally start preparing 2 days before, but the host itself lives day by day. Mm-hmm. And then you do it, you show up, you get the monologue jokes, you go through them. Like the day itself is packed and like you work all day to lead up to the, around 5 o'clock taping. But there is nothing to be done right now. Like the producers would be reaching out to me to be like, what are you thinking for this monologue? I remember during the first time I guest hosted that I thought there was a little bit more preparation, but I think I was just more freaked out then. Now I just feel very calm about it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's like no one remembers when I hosted the first time. So if this goes terribly wrong, no one will remember this one either. And not that it doesn't matter, but it's just like things come and go. Like even Top Gun Maverick that has, made literally $1 billion or more dollars. I think it's like $1 billion and $1 billion and $1. Luigi's grunting, so Andrew's here. But it people are gonna forget about that too, and it's the biggest thing ever. Like I was reading about some celebrity back in the day. Oh, Danny DeVito was talking. I was listening to this podcast, and Danny DeVito was talking about like how big Taxi, the show he was on, Taxi was, and that was 1970 whatever. And no one in my generation or anyone younger gives a fuck about Taxi. And it was the biggest show. I mean, maybe some like super TV nerds do. I obviously have an appreciation for it because it was in, the Andy Kaufman Man on the Moon show. But I'm not going to go back and watch Taxi. The fact that Taxi was pulled off the air too soon and it was this big thing. Danny DeVito went on SNL and like did this whole stunt where he like torched the CBS building out of retaliation for them pulling Taxi when they won all these Emmys in the 4th season and then it got canceled. And that was the biggest news item that week was because Taxi was canceled. No one even like living during that time remembers that. So anything that Andrew's here, everyone, anything that you would think, oh my God, this is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. It's not. Like the biggest news items right now, I was Manti Te'o.
Did you watch it?
Yes, that was the biggest thing going in 2012, 13. The biggest story. And it is a blip on my radar. I mean, I knew about it then, but if I saw Manti Te'o down the street, I wouldn't know. Like everything will...
Oh, and?
Yeah, and nothing is that important. Everything, you're probably fucking nervous about the Zany show. In a year, you do the 5 rule. 5 hours, 5 minutes, 5 days. 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years. Think about how much it will matter in those times. And after it happens. And it's honestly like the shelf life of things that matter. I'm talking about Kimmel and how I have literally no idea what I'm doing on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's Thursday. Today's Tuesday.
Have you talked to any writers or anything?
Yeah, I talked early on being like, hey, I just want the monologue to be like tight fucking jokes. I want it to be reminiscent of like my roast sets of just like blah. And I know what I'm doing, like a 1 minute speed roast thing of politicians. Haven't written a single joke. Don't know any politicians. Truly don't know anything about it. So, but I'm going to have help. There's like the best writers on that show. I remember when they helped me with my first monologue, it was just like, oh my God, the level of joke writing is insane. You all should be like the best comedians and they are. I mean, they're all like stand-ups that just ended up going the writing route more because it's like more secure and also they don't have to travel all the time and probably they have like healthcare and stuff. They wrote me about, so I have a plan of, I know I'm shooting a Man on the Street piece tomorrow. That's why I'm going in early. And so I know that, and that's just going to be based on what I ask people, and you can't really prepare for that, and they're just like questions.
It'll be great.
So other than that, I'm interviewing Danny DeVito and Jamila Jamil, and
wait, Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
I mean,
what would you ask him?
How big's your fat cock?
Well, it's ABC. So, how big is your fat penis?
Yeah.
How big's that big dick?
ABP. What I would ask Danny DeVito, fuck.
Does anything come to mind? I've been listening to like all podcasts. I listened to the Jim Rome podcast yesterday.
And he was on it?
Well, I mean, I wasn't just like listening to Jim Rome and he just happened to be on it. I searched Danny DeVito's name to find out like what he's like as an interviewer.
I thought you were a huge Jim. I remember you being a Jim Rome head.
I am now. What a great guy.
Is he the guy he used to do sports, right?
He does sports, yeah.
There's a great video of him making fun of a defensive lineman who's probably 480 pounds. Like the biggest guy you've ever seen, the scariest man you've ever seen. And he called him a nickname that he made up. And the guy goes, I bet you won't say that nickname while I'm in your face. Yeah. Really, it was in his chest because how big the guy was.
Right.
And Jim Rome looks up and he just fucking says it right in the guy's fucking, and the guy throws him off the chair.
Really?
Like it was like insane. It was like a huge video, like back, before.
Exactly, and no one fucking remembers it anymore.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking like.
Oh, sorry. So Danny DeVito. Yeah.
Jim Rome's awesome. I was really impressed by like he was just so enthusiastic about interviewing Danny DeVito, had great questions. It's just nice to see another like broadcaster that you're like, oh, this is how he's doing the thing. And he was very reverential. Like you could tell he was like, I can't believe I'm talking to Danny DeVito. We're at the same time being like having really good questions. And yeah, I just am like, how I'm freaking out that I'm not freaking out. Does that even make sense?
That's the light switch thing. I think once I heard Ben Glebe say treat everything like a light switch, it's really helped my brain a little bit. I don't know. It turned on a switch. But
that being said, Ben Glebe, I reached out for him to.
He's on meth right now in Amsterdam.
He's co-hosting on the 27th in LA. I'm doing a benefit show for
dogs, right?
Mayday Rescue, yeah. And so I'm going to be hosting that, and you can get details on Mayday Rescue Instagram. And I was like thinking the other day after the podcast with Ben Glebe, I was like, he would be really good to host this thing with because it's an auction and I have to kind of run an auction, and he will get me to do anything so he could get more money out of these people than I could. I'd be like, you don't have to, but just like, because just like try not to eat meat once. And she's going to be like, this is for dogs. What are you talking about?
You know what I'm going to do? I'll just do the charity part. Just laugh. Like, you don't even have to give money. I'm going to give money.
Yeah, I'll do it. You guys, will you just tell me how much money you would give and I'll just do it?
And then 80% higher than that.
So yeah, exactly. So
I love that story.
I felt so stupid after I told it yesterday. I was like, was I just bragging about being like? But I think I ultimately shared the story of giving money away was because I thought maybe I think it could inspire people to do the same if they have the means. Yeah. That's why I shared it. I wasn't trying to be like, I'm such a good person. I really wasn't. Because later on I was haunted by that, and I was like, can I have Noah take that out? Because it was just so it felt like I was just being like, look at what a great friend I am, but I promise it wasn't that. Maybe it was that subconsciously, but it really, I don't think it was.
The good thing about it though is that they say that in order to sustain happiness, the best way to do it is by helping others. Like that's how you sustain happiness. So there is something positive to be taken from it than just bragging.
It makes me happy to brag about it on my podcast for the rest of my life. But but Ben Glebe, so I asked him to do this charity show, and he's like, yes, I'll cancel my flight. I'll come back early because he's going on a trip. He's like, I'll come back early. I'll change my flight. And I was like, thank you. So he's hosting with me. Oh. And then I told him, I was like, do it. Because he was enthusiastic. He was like, this will be great. We can do this. How do you want to prepare? I'm like, stop. Just show up. Let's just wing it. They're not paying us.
You can tell he hasn't slept in a while.
God. But this is Light Switch Ben. So then he goes, wait, you're guest hosting Kimmel. Can I help you with that? Do you want me to cancel the trip? I'll stay around and help you with it. And I'm like, Ben, I'm not even thinking about it yet. All I know is what I'm wearing, and I barely know that. Yeah. Like, so Light Switch Ben already wants to, he's making me feel like I should be preparing. So what do I do with this? I think my approach is, and I was saying this before, if I hosted my own late night show, I'm not thinking about Thursday's show on Monday. I'm not thinking about Thursday's show on Tuesday. I'm not thinking about Thursday's show on Wednesday. I've read enough about late night. You think about Thursday's show on Thursday. And do you think about it on Friday? No. After it's over, you dump it and you move on to the next one. You're only as good as your last show, so maybe it's in your head a little bit, but you let it go.
Dude, you don't even remember.
Jay Leno would forget people that he interviewed when he saw them in the parking lot afterwards. Yes. That is true story. He would interview someone on his show and then go to the parking lot to his car, and then he would forget. And the person would say, "Thank you, that was so fun." And
he didn't even know which car was his.
Well, there were like 80 old.
There's just fucking. Is this one mine?
I was trying to think of one old car, and I couldn't just now.
Plymouth
F-150. That's not a car. That's a new car.
That's a new truck.
Like a rock.
I was strong as I could be.
I don't know that song outside of that commercial.
You know who it is?
Like a rock.
I think it's Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Oh,
I think
you guys don't know. That sounds like a serial killer. Kenny Wayne Shepherd sounds like someone who murdered a bunch of people in Wyoming in
Who's
1977.
Now a lead singer of Noah's favorite band.
I read about this.
Maggots.
I read about this serial killer, not serial killer, but this guy last night. I don't even know. It was on some Reddit post of like triumphs, you know. And it was this girl, like 1970s, holding up her hands, and she has two prosthetic hook arms.
Oh.
And she's like, yay. And she's this young girl with like 70s, like curl, like that Farrah Fawcett brown hair. And then I read the little thing below, and it was like 15-year-old Jacqueline Murphy was hitchhiking from Vegas to Los Angeles, got a ride from this guy. He raped her, and then hacked off both of her arms and threw her 30 feet down a ravine. And this bitch climbs out, and the next morning people see her dangling her arms, waving for help. And then she's triumphantly like in a picture like, woo, hug hands. And like, I just love the resilience. And she remembered this guy so much that she gave a description. They were able to draw him.
She couldn't draw it. I also love the idea of he's like, you'll never hitchhike again. Like, what a dick.
Oh yeah,
you think he was thinking that?
That's a good point.
I wonder if I mean,
maybe.
that's a fucking weird thought.
He's like the guy in Seven who would be like, punish you for doing the sins. Like, you're hitchhiking and you're a young woman. That's illegal.
Yeah, I mean,
if you jaywalk,
he could have
cut
just
off your
took her
fucking
thumbs if he was a nice guy.
Yeah, that's true.
What a dick. I saw a movie.
You'll never review movies in the 1990s. I don't know.
You'll never give peace again. You'll never flick a guy. I mean, anything with your hands. Sign language. What if she was
thumbs,
deaf?
I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, just
Do you have no thumbs?
The loser sign.
Oh yeah, you could never just do whatever. Just you're a moron. Just walk away. You ever do that one? Whatever.
You can't do the okay
moron.
sign or now the racist.
Oh
that
yeah.
even feels weird now. What a weird.
Oh my god!
world.
Speaking of a sign with your hands, Manti Te'o. That documentary is fucking insane.
I knew you'd love it.
I love.
I mean, I'm watching this. I go, I know someone that's gonna. It's sports meeting your world.
He is just such a sweet
Did you watch with Chris?
Man, yes. He's so hot too. I'm sorry, I had to kind of keep
got
that
hotter.
in. I was like, I love a guy that had a glow up. You know, I love anyone that was not hot when they could have been their hottest when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
I love someone who, because I was that way. Like my whole 20s squandered. 27 is when I like figured out how to dress and like put on makeup and actually look sexually attractive. But it took me that long, and that is usually
It's so weird how long it can take people to figure out their shit.
Meanwhile,
I'm the same way.
Apple
I'm still
Paltrow
figuring
is
it
the
out.
hottest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Who?
Apple Paltrow,
Who
Gwyneth
the hell's
Paltrow's
that?
daughter.
Oh.
She had a party in the Hamptons. Saw a picture of her, and I'm just like, these girls know how to figure it out. When I was Brenna's
Well, they
age,
have
I
stylists.
looked disgusting. Like Brenna's been looking hot for like so long. Like, how do they know so early?
I don't. She went through a weird phase. I think her going to Europe at such a young age on her own for a year, you kind of figure shit out when you're on your own. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to look
was on
really
my
hot with
own-
my dad? Like,
But I
hey,
was on
Mom,
my
do
own
I-
from high school out,
Yeah, that's true.
and I still looked like shit. I love a glow up. So this guy Manti now is just like, and he's so
He's
emotionally
got a kid now, you know that, and a wife.
evolved. No, I didn't look into
Oh.
where he's at now, but I'm happy for him. He seems to have closure. He's a little bit Jesus-y, but I don't mind that. And I loved what he's. I hope men make it to the end of the documentary because maybe they'll get therapy too. Like I love a guy talking about therapy and how he has like it is a breakthrough for him.
I mean, the ending, I think a lot of people, I know myself, if I'm going to be completely honest, like I felt anger towards the person that catfished him. Like still.
Really?
Because I
let go of that the second she was like, I'm trans and I did not know
I know
to be myself. I let
but
go of it within 5 minutes.
I
Like
still
Chris and I were
kinda-
just like, fuck this. And then we were like, oh, we get it. She wasn't just trying to trick someone. She was trying to be a woman in the only space she could be and have a relationship in the only place she could be.
I still think that I still had anger. And the anger came from when I guess part of it is just projection, but the attention that she still was seeking even after the
Yeah,
fact
because she
she
was in
told
love
him he
with
was
him.
dead. I know.
But
she was in love with the attention. She wanted the attention.
No, but like anyone does in
I
a
agree.
romantic relationship,
agree.
Andrew.
I'm just saying, it felt
Imagine
dirty
if
to
you
me.
were born a girl and you had feelings about women and you wanted to,
I
but
get
you
that.
couldn't talk to them and you could only be yourself. You could only be Andrew Collin on this online platform, and you could only talk to Brenna on Facebook. And have that kind of connection for the first time in your life.
I agree.
It makes so
with
much
all
sense.
that, it does make sense, but there's still a way. A transgender person can still be an asshole.
Yeah, I did like though how she, when it was all going to break, she called and was just like, I
But
apologize.
that was after she came
I know,
back
but
from
I
the
still
dead.
an apology.
Agreed.
Getting
And look,
having
I
that
want
be an
nothing
intention.
but happiness for her. I really do. Like and by the end of it, the anger dissipated a lot. But I was just like, because he was so trusting, I just felt like
No, he was an. I mean, that was
who
a lot
knows
of
how
the
much he was-
Mormon Jesus-y stuff. Like Chris and I were both saying this kind of stuff happens to people who are like when you're too Jesus-y and you're like, I can't date people. Like I think he was Mormon, right?
He was Mormon.
So they're going to be so much more susceptible to this stuff. I mean, they believe in God. Of course they're going to believe someone online's their girlfriend.
Also,
I believe in God too.
If his hair was better in college, no one would have believed that he had an online girl. Like
I think that was the style,
No,
though.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm just saying, like,
and he went to
glow up
Notre
is
Dame.
So,
I think. Oh my God, his glow up was. I mean, he's so hot in
just
that
grew
interview.
His hair out, and
looks
somehow he's
good.
tanner.
All
Yeah.
right, we'll take a break and come back with more. Andrew.
Hey, it's so coming around the mountains again.
We're back. Wait till you see the most hated man on the internet.
Yeah, is it? I mean, I was gonna watch it
That
last
is,
night.
I think it's better than Manti.
Whoa.
It's great. It's good. This Hunter Moore piece of shit is
Where's
so
he now?
fascinating.
Or actually, don't.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you, but he's just.
Is he transgender, and you feel
He's
bad for
no,
him?
he's a sociopath. I do feel bad for him because he was born with a fucking sociopathic
Yeah.
brain that has no empathy and he's a drug addict. He's just he's sad, mean person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all these documentaries, the man who had a girlfriend that wasn't his, the most hated man on the internet, the boyfriend of the girl who died in the snow,
A fish called Wanda.
these documentaries. Aren't they all named something like that?
Yes.
Isn't there one that was like the father who killed his son, or like the boy?
Oh, the boy who killed his dad.
Yeah, there's all these.
I'm sure the other
What's
one
going
exists. Men are killing. Men are doing bad
Yeah.
things.
You know what? My favorite part of the Manti doc was
Some football
the
play?
reveal of Dr. Phil. Did you see that?
Yes.
Because they have this cliffhanger of like, and who was the person behind this voice? Who was it? And then all of a sudden you see, and these documentaries all follow the same style of like filming the person before they're actually talking, when they're getting mic'd, and you get to like see them kind of like, and what are we doing? But you see Dr. Phil walking, but you can't tell who it is because it's just the waist.
The side, yeah.
And
yeah.
it's probably like a 7-second shot of being like, who is this? And then the way he bends down, you still can't tell because you see the top of his head. And then he sits up and it's just Dr. Phil. And you go, why is Dr. Phil on this thing? It's just, it was
a weird scene
so
too,
hard.
wasn't it? When they go, it's a one in a. We've had voice detectives, one in a million. She goes in the other room. She's like, hey, and like.
And he
guess
goes,
it
yeah.
is. Whoa,
I know.
I
I
guess
was
it
like,
is her.
well, you take that back, Dr. Phil? 1 in a million? They said it was a 1 in a million chance that you could be this voice. And she's like, hey, baby, I just like miss you. Good night. And he's like,
Whoa.
that was such a weird scene. You guys have got to see it.
Yeah.
So I watched that. Have
you seen the Carmichael movie?
No.
Can you watch that?
No, I don't like scripted. So it's going to be a hard time for me to take that in.
Should I give you a little bit of a? I don't want.
Yeah, give me let's tell us what it's about.
Elevator pitch.
Yeah, elevator pitch.
I guess.
I'm sorry, I'm getting off on this floor.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, sir. You didn't do it. Ding. Bye.
That was the forward of the movie. It did not work. Two best friends want to kill themselves.
I'm in.
The whole movie is about what they're going to do in the day before they double suicide each
Ooh,
other.
this sounds like Columbine.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you
But without
want to get into Columbine,
Yeah.
it was two people who really wanted. I mean, it was
Both
one person
these guys
who
went to
killed
college,
themselves.
I think. That's the difference.
Oh, okay. Well, Eric was going to go to the Marines, and Dylan did get into Arizona, so they had plans
Whoa.
afterwards.
Arizona State or University of Arizona?
I don't know. They went toward the camp. I should know that. I got into Columbine. I got my mom Sue Klebold's book. She buzzed through it. Then I got her the other Columbine book. She's loving that. She's texting me going like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. And we're going to Denver to go to Red Rocks to see Wilco coming up.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want to go to this campus. And I go, yes. I got a Columbine. I got a Columbine head on my. So we're gonna go to the campus again. I'm going to go to
This was
Columbine
the
for the
funniest mother-daughter
third
trip.
time in a year. She's got to see it. It's wild out there.
Where are
it's
you
so
going?
beautiful.
To Church of Notre Dame? What are you doing as a mother and daughter? We're going to go see where a massacre happened.
I mean,
what's next? You going to go?
We're gonna go see that ravine that girl, old hook arms fell down. I'm gonna get her into that when I send her that meme. I think people do. I mean, this is morbid tourism, of course.
Yeah, but you know what?
can't help
I was
it.
thinking about that.
But that's where Battle of Gettysburg.
That's
What do you
exactly
want to go
what
there
I was gonna
for?
say. I went to William and Mary. We played football on the grounds where thousands of people were murdered. And we were like, yeah, we're on the site of where everyone got.
Yeah.
But again, 5 years, 50 years, 500 years.
Would you ever live in a place like an apartment where someone had died recently? Like, say someone killed
How
themselves.
recent?
I mean, last tenant.
I don't know. It'd be tough for me.
I'd be a little scared of ghosts. Is that what you would be scared of?
Just the feeling.
Oh, really? I would like that feeling. If there's a guarantee of no
What
ghosts.
kind of death?
Suicide. Like a hanging, let's say.
in the bedroom closet.
Well, let's say the guest room closet. So you're not really going
the guest
in there.
room isn't so bad.
But he planned it in his own bedroom.
Imagine you're the leasing agent. You're like, okay, so someone hung themselves. Before you get upset.
He jumped from the balcony. So he did die on the sidewalk.
It might ruin your view, but there's another view.
Yeah.
There's a whole other view.
There's a whole other.
He didn't jump on the ocean view. He jumped on the street side.
Yeah. Would you? I would literally be scared of ghosts, even though I don't believe. I mean, I believe in them a little bit because of Tyler Henry, but I would just on a day where I get a little. Maybe I do like microdose a little too hard. I would start thinking I was seeing ghosts or something.
Yeah.
Microghost. I would fear that one would show up. You know that fear you have when you're
But
laying
you're not
in bed
afraid
and you're
of
like,
ghosts, I thought.
I'm not. I had to convince myself as a child they didn't exist so I could like go to fucking sleep. I had to be like, they just don't exist. Like, Nikki, just don't believe it, because if you don't believe it, then there's nothing to fear.
Yeah. I think if there was one story of a ghost, other than the movies, but like caught where they really do fuck up someone.
Yeah.
You're getting punched and shit. Like,
Yeah.
bah, bah,
Like hurt.
bah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always throwing a plate at the most.
I know they're like it's almost like a drunk dad. They're always like slamming a cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's David Hasselhoff eating
running
a cheeseburger.
hot water. Actually, they're doing what dads don't like. Yeah. They always,
Did someone eat my burrito? Hasselhoff.
I know that someone's besties are going to be like, ghosts do
Oh.
violent things. But I don't know.
Well, also, the rent would be probably 40% off, which that would entertain me.
I would like it for the story. I just think I like that morbid stuff. But I do think if I lived alone and would regularly have to stay alone, I would be too creeped out to deal with it.
Didn't we think the
night.
guy that lived here died for some reason because we found his pills or something?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, he was a doctor. I found his pills in our thing, and then I Googled him, and he was a doctor. And I was like, oh, I'm sleeping in a doctor's.
Yeah, it wasn't that he died. He was a
space.
doctor.
Why is that impressive?
A doctor?
Yeah, I mean, because they have to go to school so much.
And so many doctors live in this building.
They do.
I mean, it's an insane amount of doctors.
Hospitals, yeah.
Every single person you meet is a doctor.
Yeah.
Or a nurse.
And
they're all very nice because they see the most fucked up shit. And so they have to like deal with that somehow. I feel like a lot of doctors I know, well, a lot of them also have an insane ego. And
well, they don't, a lot of them don't have like a whole lot of empathy because they can't. Otherwise, they would feel sad all the time.
Where a lot of humor lies in having no empathy. To me.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
the darkest humor to me is like, oh yeah, I saw a lady die yesterday. I mean, we couldn't even get her on the bed. I mean, she was so big. It's like, wait, what? Like, no.
But I think actually a lot of humor comes from actually having a lot of empathy because the only way to deal with the pain is to make fun of it. But if you don't have pain to begin with, there's no reason to be funny. Do you know what I mean? It's fun. It's funny when people have no empathy to laugh at like how cold and callous they can be. But I think to be funny, you have to actually have a deep sense of like sensitivity.
I get
because
that.
you're dealing with such crazy feelings. You have to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, and there's a difference between someone just being like a blatant asshole. Because someone will tell a story and you're like, oh, you were just a real piece of shit in that. There's no like,
oh yeah, they don't even know.
I was a piece of shit. This is why this story's funny, but also I did wrong.
Right.
As opposed to, and I'll do it again.
Are you talking to people in the elevator a lot here? How are you? Are you
a
talking
lot
to
of
these
elevator
doctors?
bitches.
Do you? Let me ask you. Do you
Yeah.
actually talk to people in the elevator here? Like, what are the conversations like? Are you pretty
people,
chatty?
I've met people in the gym.
Okay.
Elevator's hard to me. Yesterday, I had a funny interaction where someone was moving their cat, and I was like, "Yeah, I."
Wait, they were moving. What do you mean?
I don't know. They had a bunch of cat stuff in their hands, and they're like, "We're moving our cat." And I was like, I was with Brenna.
Getting rid of your cat?
I don't know. Maybe on to the afterlife. I think the cat jumped off the balcony.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I have a cat. And then the doors closed. Like, elevators, it's tough to have a real
Yeah.
Because what? And then Brenna goes, that was so odd. Why
We
would you?
have a cat, and then it's done.
That it's done. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to hold the door to tell them more about our tabby.
See, I am in Brenna's side of like, I'd rather not engage because what are we going to accomplish with this?
Oh,
And
nothing.
It's the same way I feel about, sometimes I will text people when something needs to get done, when there's like a question I have for Noah or you, and I won't say hi first. And maybe it's been a couple days since I've talked to you. Maybe it's been weeks or months. If you're a friend, I'm doing a show, I'm like, hey, can I switch spots with you? Like, I won't say good morning, hi, how are you?
I respect that.
Like, I just get to the chase, and and some people sometimes correct me and go, well, good morning to you too, Nikki.
I guess I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hello there. And I'm just like, why do we need to do hi? I'm sending a text message. This is already so impersonal. Why even try to be? And honestly, I don't care how you are because you know why? Because I know no matter how you are, you're going to say okay. So what is the
Right.
point of asking? You know, like if we were actually good friends and I knew something was
Yeah.
going on in your life, I would ask you, how are you? But these like, it's again, this autistic thing of like this neurodivergence of, I just don't see the point of these pointless things that just take up my life, take up my voice.
Yes.
That I find that when I went on vocal rest and was like really having to look at what's important to communicate and what isn't, it made me so much more aware of all these things where there's so many pointless things you use your energy to
I guess the
communicate.
argument would be saying how are you, even if it's just an okay,
Yeah.
is so quick and easy that why not do it? I think that's the argument they will
because
have.
the person has to go, I'm good, how are you? And then you have to write like, I'm good. And it's like, that's why, because it takes extra time to type
Yeah.
with your fingers. It's not efficient. And I
I
think
get that.
efficiency is an important thing to have so that you can free up your space for actually asking people that matter to you, who actually care about you as well, how are you? Like when I don't ask someone, how are you, that where I'm like, I'm going to be late to the show.
I feel like if I'm asking
gonna be able
for
to ask
something,
it to someone else.
if it's a favor I'm
Yeah.
asking, or I'm asking you to be on my show, or something like. Actually,
Yeah,
if,
I pepper in things
yeah,
if I need
peppers-
someone from people, and that I understand. Like, yeah, if it's going to be like a letter I'm writing, where you read
can
the
pepper.
room.
You can pepper. Yeah, if it's a good friend, you don't need the pepper.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
But why not a good friend? It's funny that you don't have to pepper.
Well, not a good friend, but someone that I'm casual enough with
Yeah.
that I go, we're not going to be friends. We both know you give me spots on the show. I do spots on your show. We have a simpatico relationship. I don't need to like, and even buttering people up and writing like, how are you? And like, it feels icky to me and I wish I could eliminate it, but I know that is important to have in business.
Yeah, it's like a computer learning how to speak.
Yeah. And someone
I have
the
the
other
same
day,
thing
yeah.
though. I did the same thing with like I'll write someone that I haven't talked to in 15 years.
Sure.
Like we're still talking yesterday.
Yes.
And usually you get a response like, "Oh yeah, cool. Oh, you're gonna be in this town. Okay, maybe we'll meet." Like I forget time a lot of. I feel like we're like similar in that way.
People get offended by that of like, oh, well, good to hear from you. And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I have a
haven't
life
seen
and you have a
since
family.
1998. I hate when they
Yes.
do that. Like,
And-
okay, you're seeing me now.
I can't. We said it on the podcast before, but if you want your friends who you haven't talked to in a while to reach out to you and hang out with you, if you give them shit about not hearing from
you'll
them
never
or not,
hear from them again.
you
Yeah.
you will never hear from them because the reason people like me do not reach out to people that we haven't talked to in a while is because we don't want to hear. Well, you don't call that often. You
You didn't call me.
exactly. Well, that I hate that excuse too of like, because sometimes like in my own relationship I'll be like, but I want this thing, and they're like, but then like. Well, just tell if you want it, then you do the thing. And even I'll say that to Chris. Will be like, hey, I would like to go on a vacation with you. And I'm like, plan it. I literally go on any vacation you want. Like if you say where to go and when you'd want to go, I'll do it. And he's like, but you plan girls trips. And I'm like, because I'm the man in those relationships. I'm the man of our girls groups. And he was like, I didn't even think of it as like a masculine thing to plan a trip. And I'm like, I can't describe. Leading. I don't get why. Noah, can you parse that for me of like why I want Chris to plan trips? And not that I want him to. It's just like I'm the ringleader for the girls group, but not for planning trips for us.
I think when we start doing masculine, feminine, people kind of assign it as like gender roles. So maybe like when I describe these things, I've started to like stop using masculine, feminine and just do like leader and receiver. And you just want Chris to lead. You want to show him that like, hey, I trust you with the plan and I respect you as my leader, but I'm the one who's going to be the nurturer and I'll nurture you and I need my feelings to be cherished and honored and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe
I think once he understands that you're open to going on a trip, like then I think what's tough is when you try to, I guess, lead and then you get responded with, whoa, I'm not free that weekend, or I don't want to go there. Like, the rejection is kind of like,
right. Yeah,
but if you're opening the door and you're like, here's the weekend I'm open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure he'll lead after that.
I guess it's just confusing because there are a lot of times I will lead things, and so I'm sending mixed signals. But he is good at when I'm asking for something, like following it. Like yesterday, we were organizing my apartment, and one of my things has been like, I need more touch. Like it's just not. It's like my love language. I need it more. And man, he was like. It was so fun, like just getting your ass slapped while you're like bent over organizing a thing, or like getting just like grabbed at. Like I love getting sexually harassed by my boyfriend when we're doing a thing that's very like we're not in that romantic state, like we're working on something and we're just not in that headspace. To have a little reminder that he like is thinking about my tits is like it was very nice. Even though I jumped every single time. He was like, I should start filming when I do this because every time you like scream.
What do you think, it's a ghost?
I think it's a doctor. It's like a doctor ghost.
I try to, it's funny. It's like when you don't slap like her ass while we're in the kitchen and, she's just grabbing something out of the fridge and it's like, oh, no, you're not slapping my ass today?
Yeah.
Are you mad? It's like, no, I'm treating you like a human being. How dare you?
Yes. It's really, I mean, relationships are so tricky because I loved that one tweet the other day that I posted, which was like, I'm so annoyed with my boyfriend now because he does this thing where he doesn't read my mind. Yeah. And it's like, it is that. It's always like, and so as long as I just communicate, things seem to happen. And I'm not someone who, a lot of people are like, no, I want you to want to touch me. I don't want you to touch me just because I asked you to. I don't mind if someone just does something when I ask them to do it. That actually feels loving to me if they are doing something just because it makes me happy. And they don't actually want to do it. Because guess what? The intention to make me happy is there.
Right.
Yes.
And he doesn't not like to touch me, like my body. I know that he does. It's not like he's like, oh God. I mean, he won't rub my feet, and that is a thing that we haven't gotten past.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really want to do. Like he doesn't want to.
He wants to cut him off like that guy cut that girl's arm.
He will if I like beg him, but it's not his first.
What about if you throw a couple socks on? Like what?
Ew,
okay, what about someone else's
multiple socks
skin?
and rubbing them together is disgusting, Andrew.
Throw condoms on there.
No, we have the Theragun, and sometimes he'll just hold it like he's like shooting my feet off, point blank.
This feels
and
aggressive.
I just push my foot into it, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, it is interesting when you ask for something and then I have trouble with that sometimes of being like, well, now if I give it to you and then you go, well, now you're just giving it to me because I asked for it. And then it's
and that's the deal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is like, I don't get, sometimes I think that people do feel that way, like, oh, I don't want to do it now because she's going to think I'm just doing it because she asked for it. It's
no, it's still nice.
No, I want that. I realize it does not bother me when Chris does things that I know are against what he really wants to do because it makes me feel great that he's
or
trying.
you're just not aware. Like, you want to try for your partner. Like, I don't want to fold clothes. I don't want to do like these are a lot of things. But I know will make her happy.
Right.
Like, it's not for my happiness. Like, I could live in fucking
we know
a hellhole.
Yeah.
But I do these things. There's something really nice about like. I do feel bad though if someone's doing something they genuinely don't want to do for me just to make me happy. Like sometimes I feel guilty because I'm like, oh wait, that's not who they are really.
Yes. That's that's why I don't like birthday parties because I'm like, people have to go to this thing and they don't want to. They just want to stay home and watch Manti Te'o docs. And
but here's the thing: the party's not about you. It's about they just want to get a night out and enjoy
I
themselves.
know, but I know so many people that are like, we gotta go to this party, like, and so sometimes they are doing it just for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? You just gotta accept it and be like, well, that is their. I don't know why I can accept my boyfriend doing things he doesn't want to do because I want them, but I can't accept like my friends or like other people. It's kind of, you got to just trust people to like that they're going to do what they are doing and stop trying to control like, because I know my mom feels obligated sometimes to do things. And sometimes I try to control it of like, you don't have to do that because I know she doesn't want to. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's not my issue. She needs to figure her shit out and have better boundaries of like, I don't want to do this. It's not my problem if she can't do that. I've let her off the hook. She knows she doesn't have to, yet she's still doing it.
Yeah, there's something about allowing the person, like, they'll take accountability of their own
Let
shit.
them figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
It's so interesting when you kind of let, there are so many times I want to like confront something in my relationships, friendships, my romantic relationship, parent stuff. And like, you prepare to like say something and get it all out. And you're like, what if I just wait, just wait. And like, also maybe try to like love them more and see what happens. Like maybe something I'm doing is making them act this way. So like, what if I'm noticing an issue here, instead of being like, you need to change, maybe let me first try to like tweak what I'm doing and break the cycle, because it's usually this parabola of like, you're acting this way, then they respond this way. Well, you don't like how that responds, so you start acting this way, which then triggers them to respond this way. And it just is this loop. And my therapist said, it takes one person to break the loop. Like the cycle will not stop unless one person goes, I'm going to go against everything I want to do right now. Every part of me wants to fucking ignore this person or like be mad at this person, and I'm going to actually just break it by loving them despite all the things, because that might break it. Because otherwise it's going to be this thing over and over and over. And it doesn't take two, it takes one person to break it. But you got to be strong and you got to go against everything you want to.
But then you sometimes get what you want not get what you want, but you just
the cycle
learn,
gets broken.
I find
because they stopped doing that thing because the reason they were doing it was because you were being unloving in the way that, so you got to stop it. But you were being unloving because you felt unloved from them, but they were doing that because they felt unloved from you. So the way to break that is to just fake it. Like, let me just fake like I love this person and don't resent them and see what I get.
I mean, I find that a lot with my own relationship where we were doing a thing where I feel like I respond negatively to a certain way of how I'm spoken to. Yeah. So it's like, so I could control that, but it's like, but then I don't want to give in to the initial I always feel like I'm responding negatively to a negative action.
Like they started is what you're saying. They started
it, and then I'm reacting. In my mind, I'm always like, well, I'm right to react this way because I'm not starting it. Yes. And it's like, why do they have...
Well, then why are they talking to you like that in the first place? Clearly, there's something that you did that made them talk to you that way.
Yes, and potentially, yeah.
Well, always. But then they're responding to something.
So then tell me that in a different way.
Well, they can't. Yeah. You're the one that notices what's going on. It's up to you to break the cycle.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Or communicate,
It's hard. It's hard because it's like...
Yes.
The person doesn't think they're wrong if they're responding.
No one thinks they're wrong in the heat of the moment, ever. Yeah. And that's why things should not be brought up. Things should not... What did you say?
It's that 5 rule that you were talking about in the first segment. You could apply it to this.
You should never approach something... I don't... My friend the other day was like, wait till it bugs you so much that you have to explode. And I was like... Or that's the worst advice I have ever heard in my
who
life.
said that?
Because it's never a good time to approach something and like blow something up when it's like, I just can't take it anymore. Anya was saying that she read a book about a band leader that was like, I know I need to get out of this band. I want to go off on my own. I can't fucking do this anymore. And the band leader was just like, waited until the band was so bad that they had to like they were just like, I just had enough. And I'm like, I would never want to do it that way, because that is, anytime I've reacted in my life to something in the heat of the moment, it has always led me to go, can I not? I need to take that back. That was a regret.
Yeah, I don't want to ever like leave something with the bridge burning, like in a movie where everything's blowing up behind me and I'm just like
Slow
smoking
motion,
a cigarette and I'm just like, on to the next thing. I've done that in my life.
Same.
And it's just based off of insecurity and just not being happy with what I'm doing.
And if you burn a bridge, you don't have to like ever like the bridge will never be able to tell you what you did wrong. You'll never have to deal with like anything that you may have played a part in. You're just like, fuck it all. I'm burning this and like it's gone. I'm
blocking the bridge. I'm muting the bridge.
Yeah, it pretty much is
I've never
that.
even seen that fire. What fire?
There's no reason to leave someone completely. I mean, listen, like, in a relationship, unless you're kind of, and like block them, unless you're kind of scared what they're going to say to you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
there's a lot
unless
of
you're
fear.
like being abused in a relationship, then there's ways to get out of that.
Then you get back together and you figure it out.
You just figure it out. There's not many fish in the sea, and if one punches you, just realize that it's overfished right now, and there's not a lot out there. No, please get help. There's always people out there that will help you. There's helplines all the time to call for that kind of thing. We got to go to break. We'll come back with more things that'll get us canceled right after this. All right, we're back. Wednesday wildcard segment. It's time for Andrew Collins' Succinct Short Story Circle. Is that what it's called?
I hate this.
Andrew's Succinct Short Story Circle segment.
Oh yeah, there's an extra S.
God, that kid.
It
does sound like a kid version. But speaking
the little fiddle at the top.
Well, I was thinking about football lately because of the
Manti.
And I've told you this story before, but I've never told it on here, I don't think. When I was a senior in high school, it was funny because I was talking about yesterday how like everyone's like, if you had the heart of Andrew, but I think that was like when I was a freshman or sophomore when I was really small. And for some reason around junior, senior year, I stopped having a lot of heart and I became kind of lazy in a way. And it was so apparent.
Was that around your parents' divorce?
No, it was actually after, which I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think maybe I was starting.
Adderall? Did you stop? You sold it all?
Yeah, and my drug kingpin days were
I'm just
over.
wondering what made you go lazy.
I think
because you never looked back when you burned down the.
I think what happened, you know what, is in football specifically. I think I started to get afraid a little. Like I used to have when you're younger, I would tackle. I wouldn't even think about breaking my neck, or I wouldn't think about getting hit hard. But then you get hit hard so many times, you could get back up. But it also you've been hit enough where you're like, this actually can really fuck you up.
Football is very interesting. I asked Chris last night, like, because I got into it a little bit of like, who won the Heisman that year? Johnny Manziel or whatever? Johnny Manziel?
Oh well, you know his story now.
And then he goes. I was like, did he go to the NFL? And I think he was like, yes, but it didn't last long at all. And I'm like, why not? Like, why don't the best college athletes do? Most of Heisman Trophy winners go on to play pro? And he's like, not really. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, college is different. You're just like a good athlete. To be a pro athlete, you have to be obsessed. It has to be like a new level of obsession that college athletes don't necessarily have. They're just like best athletically.
Well, and a lot of these guys in college, they get treated like gods, and so you stop. Your work ethic dies because you're
Manti Te'o though, he was like football, like he was obsessed, and his dad just really ingrained that in him. Whereas your dad was.
He was at work, saving lives like an asshole.
Yes.
So so anyways, senior year, I was I started at wide receiver. And which is the guy that catches the ball. And my coach sat me down in the film room, and I thought I was in trouble. And he plays this play, and he goes, look, you see how you're quitting here and being so lazy? The guy that's guarding you is seeing how you're being so lazy that he's going to guard someone else, leaving you wide open.
Why were you lazy? What were you supposed to do in that moment?
So there was a play. Okay, so if a quarterback does a bootleg, he rolls out the other way. So I'm on the opposite side of the field, and my play is to run a post pattern, which is about 60 yards I'm running to never get the ball, because he always threw it to this guy coming out of the backfield because it was an easy 20-yard pass. You know, the percentage was like 90% that this would happen. Him throwing to me was maybe like 3%. So
Because of your laziness?
because it was just not his go-to read.
But I thought you're the guy that they throw the ball to.
Well, then I'll get there. So
Okay.
so I stopped running the post because I'm never getting the ball.
You realize that the percentage of this, yeah.
There's no point. What am I doing?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
just setting
cutting out the
myself
how
up
are
for
you?
rejection.
Yeah. Your efficiency.
So yeah, I'm like, I'll
Why
save myself
try?
for the
Yes.
next play. So I keep quitting, and he realizes like, oh, so if you're not running all the way, the guy's going to guard someone else. But then I'm wide open because of my laziness.
So people are starting to realize you're lazy.
My coach is seeing this. I guess I'm doing it enough where you wouldn't think it'd be so noticeable.
But will other teams like know that about you guys?
No, I don't. That'd be very hard to pick up if you were just watching like one game film and we run that play maybe once or twice.
Right.
But if we ran it 20 times in practice, you start to see a pattern of
So people
laziness.
on your team in like little.
Well, my Coach Rock, no related to Chris, and he saw that I was so lazy that he's like, I could build something around you being pathetic, essentially. And so he's like, can you be this lazy
Oh my god.
if I call on you? And I was like, I've been not working for this my whole life, you know? Like, and so he's like, all right, I'm putting in a play. He called it the Lazy Colin, which is the laziest name for a football
Oh my god.
So we go back to practice like 2 days later or whatever, and he's like, all right, put in lazy. And everyone's like, we have a lot of plays like, you know, Z74 or X90, whatever, like these, like, and then Lazy Colin. It's just such an absurd name. And everyone's like, what is it? And
Do you have
they're
to like teach plays? Isn't that what they
Yeah.
have like the X's and O's on the board for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, you know,
So did everyone learn this?
Yeah.
Or were they just calling it out? and
they're
then-
like, so we're doing the bootleg, but instead Andrew's going to run. He's going to fake like he's quitting. Not fake too. I'm a method actor at this point. And then he's going to just stumble back, and you're going to throw it all the way across the field, like 40 yards. And he's going to be wide open.
So people are going to notice, the other team's going to notice he's lazy, think that they don't need to
Yeah.
guard him, and then he's going to be open.
And so we run it in practice, and I catch it in practice, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe.
But how does it work in practice if the people know you're going to be lazy that are,
Because the defense doesn't know.
oh, they don't know. So
Yeah.
your other teammates that are your defense,
Yeah, yeah,
they
they-
don't tell them to play?
No, no. No, the
But you're a
defense.
team.
That is true, but
But doesn't the
even
defense
teams-
ever play for the offense? Do
Yes,
ever people
yeah,
ever? So
they
don't
do
they need to know
switch.
the lazy Colin too?
Lazy Colin got around. Maybe we were able to run it once in practice.
okay.
Before.
I'm just
no, I
logically
get it.
checking
No,
this
it
out. I
makes
don't
sense.
understand football. Okay.
It makes sense, especially a play like that. So there's so much rides on just one.
And deceiving people,
Yeah,
like making people. That's all what plays are, though, is like tricking the team into thinking that you're going to do something and then doing something else.
Yes.
Is that what most plays are
Most
about?
plays are about that,
Like psychological.
warfare. Yeah. Just like we're gonna go this way and then we're gonna reverse. But then if you watch the guard pulling, you're gonna know that the play's actually going this way.
Is the best kind of football player one that can bluff really well about what
Yeah.
they would do and switch it up so much that no one can really predict what's
Yeah.
going to happen?
The best route runners, best wide receivers, if you watch them, it's trickery. Like there's this guy Hunter Renfro who by all like counts should not be, he runs like a 4.74, like he's not that fast. You would think he's like a caddy at a golf course. Like you would never think this guy was
Yeah.
like, and he's unbelievable. He just got like a $40 million signing bonus because
40 million?
something crazy. Jeez. But because he can run patterns that trick people. He's just he's a magician, like essentially. So the whole season, the play is never called because it's pretty and absurd. The Lazy Colin is pretty. So I run, right, and I go like this. I run hard, and then I just go.
Did you like tell your parents, were you so excited to have like a play named after you? I mean, this is like huge. I'm thinking you back then
This is my
craving
first
attention.
special.
Weren't you so excited?
No, because it felt kind of passive aggressive. It felt kind of like I don't want to be known for being lazy, but I'm also leaning into this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also,
it's like
like
one of those things.
coaches are supposed to inspire kids and motivate them, and I love that your coach is telling you to like just huff and puff on the field.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous thinking back at it. So we're playing this team Glades Day, and it's like a big rival, like a huge rival, and we're down by like 20 points. We have like nothing's working, nothing, and so you're desperate, and like a desperation calls for a desperation play, and what's more desperate than the lazy Colin? And so they call it. And I remember my best friend Danny Colintrelli was the quarterback, and I remember him saying it, and like he couldn't even get it out of his mouth
Without laughing?
Pretty much. He's
Well,
like,
isn't the word lazy and then the other teams hear it? Like, aren't they going to go, the guy's last name is Colin. It's on his thing.
They don't hear these things. What do you think's happening?
Aren't they shouting, like they're shouting things? Are those not plays that they're shouting?
They're just hiking it. They're just saying.
Why are they shouting?
Well, sometimes plays get when they do audibles. So you'll have a play set up.
They'll read an audiobook.
You read an audiobook. An audible is like 48, 53. And
Well, I
then
know
like,
calling an audible means like we're just doing something on the fly.
Yeah, something
Okay.
different. But this
So
is
lazy Colin, everyone whispers it. I mean, how do plays get found?
The defense is like 30 yards away. They don't hear you. So they're in their huddle. We're
Has
in
it
our
ever
huddle.
happened in football where like you didn't hear the play and you're like, what are we doing? And you have to like ask your friends.
For sure.
And then sometimes you're like, I don't remember that one because
Yes.
I was not paying attention
Yeah.
during the chalkboard times.
And then you just kind of you kind of figure it
Forwarded
out.
it, yeah,
I mean,
okay.
that happens all the time. So many, especially in the NFL, their playbooks are like
Crazy. Oh, that's
So
what
many
a
people get
playbook
cut
is.
because you
It's full of
can't-
plays. Okay, I'm learning. I honestly have never even thought about that.
So we're down 20.
Okay.
And they called a lazy Colin. I'm like, fuck, I gotta be late. This is my moment. And I fucking run and I lazy it up. And just like he wrote, the cornerback that's supposed to guard me just starts flowing the other way. And I kind of just, like Kool-Aid Man walking backwards, just like going. God, I'm lazy. No one sees me over here. Like I'm trying to be real quiet. Just be water. And my buddy Danny throws it all, and I remember it just like being in the air. It felt like, the ball was being lazy up there. It took so long.
Yeah, it's so weird. Those moments just slow down so much.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is like my moment. Because I only had like 11 catches the whole year. So I catch it. I'm like, holy shit. And the joke when I would do it on stage is then I dropped the ball because I was too lazy because it was heavy.
Yeah.
But I get tackled like right away, like slammed hard, and it actually hurt my shoulder. But like I was like, this is my moment. I'm not gonna show like pain. And then we lose by like 20. Like it wasn't like a
Oh man,
story.
this isn't like a glory story. I thought it was gonna end. Fuck. It ends with you getting a chronic shoulder injury that will haunt you the rest of your life, like a ghost doctor.
Yeah, it doesn't end like that cool. Other than like, I mean, I kind of love that kind of ending where
Yes.
it's like, and then we won
That's
by
my
50.
favorite ending.
Yeah.
Final thought. I
Yeah.
love a good bad end. I love an ending that is practical, is like something that really
Yes.
happens in life. A lot of people, I ask people to send me movies where they don't end up together. And so many people sent me so many movies, I realized they just spoiled the ending. Like, I was just asking people to send me movies where I already know what's going to happen. I was kind of like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But they gave me good lists.
Yeah, Schindler's. Do you know that Jews die in it, Nikki? No, yeah, it's it's.
I didn't see Schindler's List ever.
The movie in the 90s. I would have caught that. I would have broke the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
We would have won. I would have realized, not to ever be lazy again.
I was asking so many questions about football last night. It's just that
I love answering football questions.
my inability to understand why it matters so much and why it's so much different than every other sport in the sense of like how it makes people feel. Just seeing these slow motion shots of people going like, "Ah!" yeah,
Wait, you mean like in the
like
stands?
the gridiron, just like even
Yeah.
the football players being like, yeah, and then, like their sweat kind of slow motion
Yeah.
falls off their
But
face.
how good did that feel just now? That's what it's about.
Listen, but
Woo! Let's go!
I
Like-
get it, but why not feel that way about tennis? Why don't we feel that way about golf?
People
Like,
do, but they're not allowed to be loud. Like, that's the other thing. You're allowed to be ruthless. You go there. It's like the Coliseum. You're allowed to fucking,
and I don't understand why even care about college football if there's pro football?
Well, because it's more pure. These kids aren't playing for money. A lot of them are.
Well,
Well,
some of
especially
them
now
pay-
you
well,
can.
Aren't they playing
Play
for
for
money?
tuition.
Well, now you can.
Like they'll
Well,
get their
no, now you
tuition
could
covered.
actually sign. You could actually get paid. NIL, it's called.
Does it make you happy to know that these guys are getting laid when they wouldn't be? Despite like that was a thing for me where I was like, Manti's gonna get so much fucking pussy in Notre Dame, and I was like, yes, don't stop talking to this bitch. You're getting like actual real life tangible puss.
I think he was still getting tangible puss.
of course.
Like, I think he was fucking a lot. And I think this was like a thing of one of many.
And it was an emotional connection, which he
Yeah.
probably wasn't having in
Exactly.
person with girls.
Yes.
Yeah, he was probably just fucking them. But this was all based on texting.
It's weird that your side piece has the most heart.
Yes.
Like his chick on the side was dying of leukemia, and he was not giving her dick, but all his heart, all his fucking.
Well, that's what happens when I have ever been in, not ever, but there's been times where I've been in relationships with men who have girlfriends in my past, and I was always this emotional tent pole.
Oh yeah.
And that they weren't getting because it would just be based on text. Like it was always, and I think that's when people cheat is when they're not getting fulfilled in some way in their relationship. Or they're just like sociopaths and they don't care and they're sex addicts or whatever. But like generally I think people step out when they're like, I'm not getting this thing, and then you get it from somewhere else. And then if you're that other woman, you gotta get to a point where you're like, I gotta pull this away because this guy
Or
will
die.
yeah, or fake my own death
And then come back.
and then come back. Oh my god, her.
Can you imagine that
flip-flopping
second
on-
phone call or death? Like, oh my god.
It's so insane. You guys gotta watch the doc. But I think
Fuck.
there's something about if you've ever been the other person, the only way to actually get that person to leave the person they're with to be with you, which is always what you want secretly, even though you probably don't want it because the only reason you like them is because you can't have them, and when they become available, you probably won't be interested. Speaking from my own truth.
Yeah.
The only way for them to ever leave is to pull out the tent pole that you're providing, and the tent will fall eventually. Or they'll have to figure out a way to get that part of their relationship fulfilled, which is also a thing that can happen, and it's happened to me every single time. So
just
it's
gotta
not the
be-
best.
you gotta-
I've never had a guy leave his girlfriend for me. I'll just say that. There are like times I listen to podcasts where like the other girl gets them to leave.
Yeah.
And I just go, wow, good job, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that none of the guys that I've entertained that with have ever given up on the relationship, because I would have felt so guilty that they
Yes.
left that I would have stayed with them despite wanting to. Although I do think in some circumstances, I remember thinking, am I really going to like this guy if he leaves his girlfriend? Like, do I really want to be with this person? And I think I would have been so horned up for a guy taking such a risk, not knowing. Because I remember telling this person, I don't know if I'm going to like you once you're single, but I think I would. I really want to be with you, but I can't predict that I'm going to want to, I would like to date you if you break up with her. And I think I would have been so horned up for someone taking that big of a risk.
It is a big
that it would have
risk, yeah.
kept me around longer. Even if I didn't actually like them outside of that, I would have been like, but someone blew up their life for me because they love me so
Yeah, they
much.
had, like-
Oh, that's fucking
They had like
sexy.
2 kids that loved them.
No,
and,
I've
like,
never done that. There's never been kids in them. I mean,
No,
I got
I just-
fingered by a guy once that had some kids.
I
but
just love envisioning.
I was one of
like,
many.
He left his like dying wife from like no
that
one
is
really.
so sweet. He loves me so much,
No one's gonna respect this guy ever again,
except me.
except me. And that's why we have such a strong like. I love like the story of like, how did you guys meet? Well, his wife was dying, and
Oh yeah.
and he just couldn't resist. Oh.
I wouldn't blame
And then-
someone if like
Well, maybe the wife is dying. It's too
my
much
friend
of an
Hala has this fear if she's ever or if like her husband's in a coma and she has to like stay with him.
Well, that happened. I told you. That
And I
happened
go, you wouldn't.
That happened to my friend.
No one would ever. Why would you ever expect your spouse to be faithful to you while you're in a coma? I think that is an insane thing. One that you're not going to get out of.
Yeah.
You like that is so. I know people are like, what are you talking about, Nikki? I know that this is not the normal thing, but if I got out of a coma and I realized my husband did not even get like a hand job from like a massage on the side during that time, I would say you're
A loser.
a loser. You're not taking care of your own needs. You're like too obsessed with me.
What if he was like, I've
Did you
never
at least
been-
try to fuck me in the coma? I was out of it. You wouldn't have.
Wait, Andrew,
God, that was another Dan
what's
Mintz
your
joke.
take? No, because
What's
Andrew's
that?
about to say something. He's like,
Oh,
you know what?
no. I think this is the funniest shit. I think it's just so funny for a guy to be never more attracted to his wife than when she's in a coma. Like, he's like, he's like, when did it like really like start to work out for you guys again? Oh, when she was.
Well, I'm a little bit scared about me being quiet for 3 weeks and having Chris be like,
this is the
this
best
is
way.
it. Oh,
No, I think what if he asked you to marry you like 2.5 weeks in? He's like, this is the woman I've always dreamed of.
I mean, and I think that I might also have some realizations being quiet of like observing more and being like, I'm such a little, like, it's going to make me so feminine energy to be quiet. I mean, this is my joke in my special of like men want women who don't talk. It's very sexy to them to be like, to just be like, I can't, honestly, we were physical the other night. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Can you imagine having sex with someone
Yeah, I was
and they
thinking
are
about that.
100%? I can't, you guys, I can't make a grunt. I can't do anything that will make my vocal cords vibrate. So I can't put the vibrator on in my throat anymore. I can't deep throat the Hitachi wand anymore. How am I gonna come? But I really am like, I was like, are you ready to be with someone that is going to be
A Charlie
dead
Chaplin movie.
quiet?
You're gonna be
Why don't you use
all
that
black
robot
and white.
machine? Don't you have like a robot that's going to speak for you? Just put a bunch of M's.
Oh my god.
I guess you got to figure out the position where you're the least quiet. during
Thank you,
sex.
Daddy.
Oh yeah, like you're fucking.
Thank you, Daddy.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Stephanie Hawking is what we're calling me already. Because when I was on vocal rest, I was using it a little bit.
Because you're brilliant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I understand quantum physics now because I read a third of a book. All right, we have more show ahead of us tomorrow. Be there for it. Chris Convey is going to be back in studio with us. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Don't be cuh and Jack
Jack her vocal cords up.